I'm your host, Joel Perez, and you're watching Wrestling with Politics. And the story that we're going to be covering today, this is truly an incredible display of how captured the U.S. government is by the Israeli Zionist lobby, specifically the Donald Trump administration. But it seems like it doesn't matter who's in charge. Biden, Trump, Kamala, Obama, doesn't matter. Whichever president is in charge ends up going along with whatever Israel does. And that's exactly the case in this story that we're about to cover here today. Because I thought at least that the crimes of the Israeli government were limited to the Middle East. We've already seen what they've done with Palestine. They've been able to bomb schools. They've been able to bomb mosques. They've been able to bomb hospitals. And they've been able to get away with all of that. And we still send them billions of US taxpayer dollars. So Israel, they've been able to get away with whatever when it comes to that. But you would at least expect that in our own country, they would have to follow the law, right? Well, nope, that's not the case. That's exactly the opposite of the case. Because in the story we're about to be covering today, an Israeli government official who was arrested in Nevada and held for questioning for acts having to do with luring a minor, he was released back to Israel where he's able to roam free. And what does that say about Israel? This is supposed to be our greatest ally, but this is a society that allows sex predators to roam for free? It's not adding up here. And the other thing that's not adding up is, why would Donald Trump allow himself and his administration to take this kind of reputational damage? What's being held against them here that they're willing to take this amount of damage for Israel? They don't care what level the crime is, they're still willing to cover up and do whatever it takes to make Netanyahu happy. What's the incentive here? Well, I'll tell you what the incentive is. It's the fact that they know that they're not going to face any significant backlash or get in trouble for this. Because if you look at the mainstream media, even the people who hate Donald Trump, networks like CNN and MSNBC, they're radio silent when it comes to this story. You would think that they would want to jump on this opportunity to criticize Donald Trump, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so. Why would you do something like this? But they're radio silent, and of course, it's because it has to do with Israel. This is another key example of how Israel completely controls our country, and the most powerful people in our country. Is completely insane how they have complete control over literally everybody in our government. And our government is willing to bend over backwards at every single instance and do whatever it takes to make the Zionist lobby happy. This needs to come to an end. And that's why I say they're not going to face any significant backlash, but they absolutely should. And that's why it's our job. And if you support Donald Trump even more so, you should be completely unhappy with this decision, because this doesn't put America first. This puts America last. This puts the safety of our children on the line. And this is something that should never be allowed to happen. A sex predator should be somebody who, out of anybody, gets the most severe repercussions. And that should be one of the number one goals of our society, to take these people out. But when it comes to the Zionist lobby and doing things on the behest of Israel, that's the last priority of the United States government. And this is why I needed to report on this story, because this is incredibly revealing when I tell you that our government is filled with pedophiles and people who are demonic, who don't give a damn about the American people. This is what I'm talking about. These people do not care if the safety of your children are on the line. They're willing to sacrifice all of that for their own corrupt motives. They don't give a damn about you. Don't believe that for a second. And it doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump. And this has specifically to do with Donald Trump. They're going to sell you out anyways for demonic purposes. They all serve the same demonic entities. And we're in big, big trouble if we don't start to recognize that, and recognize that fast. pay attention to this story and scream it at the top of your lungs, because look at what's going on here. This man is getting away with this, and he shouldn't be at all. So what does that say about our country? What does that say about the presidency? Is Donald Trump really the president, or does he answer to Bibi Netanyahu and the Zionist lobby? Who really runs the country? That's what this all comes down to. And what this is revealing is that our leaders, our very own leaders, the people who we elect and vote every 4 years to represent, they don't actually run the show. They don't actually run anything. They're actually paid actors who correspond and answer to the deep state. And it doesn't matter who you swap into these roles, they're going to carry out the motives and they're going to carry out the interests of the deep state. And right now, it looks like the interests of this deep state are directly aligned with those of the Zionist lobby. So until we remove this foreign entity from our political system, you're going to see a lot more things like this happening in the United States. You're going to see your leaders answering to motives that don't make any sense to you, that have nothing to do with the interest of the American people, because they don't answer to you. They answer to a foreign country. They answer to a foreign lobby, and they don't care what you think. You're not the one lining their pockets. You're not the one paying their bills, and their political career is not at risk if they don't do what you want them to do. And that's exactly why this continues to happen. These politicians, they are not afraid of us. They are not afraid that if they make the wrong move, their doors are going to be busted down, and there's going to be pitchforks, and there's going to be riots going on in their faces. Their lives are not being inconvenienced at any single instance, and so they're just going to carry along and carry water for the wrong sources. What we need to do is finally make these politicians afraid again, afraid to stop messing with our children, to stop making these demonic choices, and to start working for the good of the American people again. This is completely the opposite of that. And Donald Trump has completely lost the plot, continuing to do things like this for the Zionist lobby. This goes to show that Donald Trump isn't the one running the show. Donald Trump is just a puppet being controlled. And Donald Trump, he has a boss. He's not the boss, he has a boss. And he has to answer to that boss, or Donald Trump is going to get fired. And so that's a big, big problem if that's the case, and that's the truth, which I think it is, about our political system. But for now, that's all I have to say about this story. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this story. I'm absolutely disgusted that a child predator is being allowed to roam free in Israel. It should be completely illegal in their country, but no, that's the type of country that they have, and that's the type of country that's our greatest ally. This is completely disgusting. And you guys can let me know how disgusted you feel in the comment section down below. That's all I have for you guys for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to check out our last videos. There's tons of content coming out on the Wrestling with Politics YouTube channel. We just made a video discussing the Trump and Putin meeting. And also make sure to check out the video discussing why I voted for Zoran Mandani. But that's all for now. If you guys want to see more from Wrestling with Politics, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.